So we all know the state of Arkansas has purchased property in Franklin County that they plan to build a new prison on. This prison is supposed to be almost double the size of any other prison in the state of Arkansas, and it's on a smaller piece of property. Now, I have certain thoughts on this issue that I kind of want to share. First of all, I have been very vocal about the fact that I don't believe that we need a new prison in the state of Arkansas. I think that we need prison reform in the state of Arkansas. I think that we need drug and alcohol programs in the state of Arkansas, reentry programs in the state of Arkansas, and mental health programs in the state of Arkansas. Those are the things that I think that we need that would prevent so many people from being in prison and ultimately do the best for communities as a whole. Now, this is the reason I believe that, or at least a part of that. So, do you know that more than 60% of people that have addiction issues also have mental health issues? They are coexisting conditions in a lot of people. And the reason people become drug users is because they have mental health conditions that they aren't receiving treatment for, and they are attempting to control themselves, treat themselves with drugs and alcohol. Or they have a drug and alcohol condition that then leads to a mental health condition. Either way, it would be almost impossible to treat one of those conditions without treating the other. You can't put someone in a drug program and expect that they're going to get better forever without also treating their mental health issues, because they go hand in hand. You also can't put somebody in a mental health program and expect that their drug and alcohol issues are just going to magically go away, because the drug and alcohol issues are still going to be there even after they are feeling better mentally, and eventually both things will become an issue again. Just like if you treat the drug problem and you don't take care of the mental health issues, then whenever they start feeling bad mentally, they're going to go back to the drugs. You have to treat both things together. Prison doesn't treat either one of those things. And when you release a person from prison in the state of Arkansas, they either have to go to a halfway house or they have to parole out to a family member. A majority of the time, they're paroling out to a family member like a spouse or a parent or something that is ultimately returning them to the same community that they got in trouble in to begin with. Now, what does that do? That connects them to the same people that they were using drugs with before they got arrested for using drugs. And it would be very difficult for anyone who had a drug and alcohol issue to return to the exact same environment, the exact same people, and yet not use. It would be like, in my opinion, taking an alcoholic, setting an alcoholic beverage in front of them and saying, no, you can't drink that, but it's right there. It's right there in front of them. And they're sitting there staring at it day after day after day after day after day. Eventually, they're going to consume that beverage. Now, in saying all of that, I am not saying that it's not impossible that a person who has drug and alcohol issues does not have mental health issues, or a person that has mental health issues does not have drug and alcohol issues. Certainly, those people do exist. Also, I'm not saying that there aren't circumstances under which a person has both issues and like a drug program happened to help both issues, or a mental health rehab happened to help both issues. Also, I'm not going to say that a person that was a drug user was not helped by prison. Certainly those people exist. But if you look at the recidivism rate in the state of Arkansas, it's pretty freaking high. Okay? It's pretty freaking high. It's like 45-ish%. That's a high percentage. That's almost half the people that go to prison in the state of Arkansas are returning to prison in the state of Arkansas. Why? I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but I would bet money that a majority of those people aren't murderers that are being set free and they're murdering again. I mean, certainly that does happen, but not usually. They're not rapists that are being set free and committing the same crimes, like it does happen, but not nearly at the rate that people who are drug users who are in prison for theft or possession, possession of drug paraphernalia, are released and then are rearrested for the same sort of offenses. Those offenses, in my opinion, being either possession of a controlled substance or paraphernalia, or committing a crime in order to further their addiction. And disclaimer, I do want to say this as someone who has not ever been a drug user, but someone who has had a family that has been destroyed by the use of drugs and alcohol, by people who are addicts that have been through the system time and time and time again, to be quite honest. So, and I'm making this video in real time, so you're really going to find out the same thing that I find out, what I believe. I'm going to look at Benton County because, alphabetically, Benton County is like the fourth county, and Benton County is a county that puts a majority of their probable cause affidavits online, so I can look at the affidavits and see what the people are actually arrested for. Now, I looked at the ADC website, and under controlled substances, people that have been arrested for crimes that fall under controlled substances, there are, I think it said 115 in Benton County, or from Benton County. So I'm going to pick a few of those, and I'm going to look to see what crime they're actually in prison for. The first person on the list for the county of Benton is Michael L. Adams. Michael L. Adams is 52 years old. He looks like he's 65, in my opinion. And that's no shade to Mr. Adams. The reason I'm saying that is because right off, I would say probably he is a drug user because he looks so much older than what he actually is. So this is the current prison history for Mr. Adams. It's all drug charges, except for one fleeing charge where he got 6 years. 2005, Washington County, possession, 6 years. Benton County in 2007, probation revocation, he got 4 years. Benton County 2010, possession, he got 300 months, which comes out to 25 years. And then at the same time, 6 years on that fleeing charge. And then in 2022, Mr. Adams got in trouble for possession with the purpose of delivery, and he was sentenced to 15 years in prison. Now, like I said, I am finding this out at the same time you are. I don't know Mr. Adams. I know nothing about Mr. Adams, but I looked up his case from 2009 in order to try to see the affidavit. The affidavit wasn't there because they didn't start putting them on until after 2009, but this is what I found. And I'm not going to read you exactly what it says. I mean, you can pause if you want to read it, but basically it's a letter from Mr. Adams to the court when he was in the Benton County Jail, probably when he was in jail on that case that he had adjudicated in 2022. Because this was written in 2021, where he is begging the court, I have spent 25 years in prison. Please help me because the DOC is not helping me. He said something, anything, and goes on to say he has never been offered the chance to do any kind of a rehab or any kind of treatment, but he would like to try that. What do they do? Sentence him to 15 years in prison, 15 more years in prison. Now, again, I don't know this man. I don't know this man's story, but this is somebody who's literally asking for help. You think that this is somebody who is being helped by being sent to prison? You think that he's going to come out and he ain't going to be doing drugs again? Because if you do, you're wrong. He doesn't have the tools at this point in time to not use. And furthermore, I'm not saying that if he went to rehab, he would be helped. Most people have to go to rehab more than once, but he's asking for a chance and it's being denied. The next person is Jeremy Francis. Now, Jeremy Francis appears to be 47-ish years old. Jeremy Francis is nobody that I know. I've never heard the name. Now, to be fair, there were names on the list that I have seen before, do know or know of. So I forewent those names in order to find names of people that I don't know. So just completely choosing at random people that I truly don't know. Now, Jeremy Francis is currently in prison, of course. He came up on Benton County because, as you can see, in 2008, he was arrested for possession of a controlled substance. He got 20 years. Probably he had enough for delivery at that point in time. That's why he got the 20 years. Then you get to 2022 in Sebastian County, he got 2 more years for possession. And then this year, 2024, he got, looks like 26 and then 20 again. All drug charges, all of his criminal history that I can see are all drug charges. Mr. Francis won't be eligible for parole until 2029 at this point in time. Now, I do not want people who are selling drugs on the street any more than the next person, but you can't tell me that this is someone who might not benefit from a rehab, because obviously he's not just selling, he's also using. The next person appears to be another middle-aged man. This is Sean McCann. Sean McCann is 51 years old, currently in the ADC. Let's see what he's been charged with. So he has a little bit different charges. It looks like in 2005, he was charged with having drugs of some sort, probably enough for delivery, because he got 20 years there in Benton County. He had a FTA, failure to appear, in Benton County, got another 10 years on that. Then he had a hot check violation, got 10 years on that. It looks like that's all about the same case, plus a breaking and entering where he got 6 years. Now, breaking and entering, it's a little bit different than your normal, it's not a drug crime, but probably has something to do with drugs. Hot check violation, you know. Then in Pope County in 2016, he got in trouble for fleeing, got a little year and a half on that, and he had drugs at the time, probably why he fled, got a year and a half on that. Then you go down to Benton County 2022, got in trouble for having enough for delivery and charged as a habitual offender, and he got 7 years on that, got 7 years on that. So, but they're mostly drug-related charges. Is this someone that could be helped by a drug and alcohol program? Yeah. Now you might say, well, they have drug and alcohol classes in prison. They sure do. They do. They do. But do they rise to what a class, what a program would rise to on the outside of prison? Do they also simultaneously treat mental health and offer counseling like they do on the outside of prison? Or are people in prison taking a drug and alcohol class while simultaneously fighting for their lives and making sure that something nefarious doesn't happen to them while they're in prison so that they can make it back to their families? Because there are people in prison that will unalive you. Right now in the Arkansas Department of Corrections, there are 1,521 men and women who have been charged with drug charges at some point in time that are in prison. Now, let's just say even half of that are actually in prison for drug charges right now and could be helped. That's a large amount of people. That would free up a lot of beds. So then how many of those people are in prison that have mental health issues that could have been helped by a mental health program rather than just throwing them in prison? You know, think about that. Think about those types of things. Think about people that are in prison and know they didn't necessarily have drugs on them, but they were caught stealing. How many people are in prison for that? How many beds could that free up? Do we really need another prison, or do we need better programs? Do we need alternative sentencing? So now let's talk about the problems and issues with the new prison that is being planned in Franklin County. First of all, it was announced on October 30th that Sarah Huckabee Sanders would be on KDYN, which is the local radio station in Franklin County. The next day, she was going to be on Halloween, 10/31, in order to talk about this thing, this press release that she had. Now, when she came on the program, she announced that she had plans that property had been purchased in Franklin County for a new prison facility. And this prison facility was going to be about 300 beds, and that sort of stuff was discussed. Now, she said on that program that they had already looked at the infrastructure, make sure that was in place, that they had secured the property, made sure all of these things were in place. But nobody in the community knew about this. And also, more to that, all of the elected officials say that they found out like that week. So the citizens in that area tried to hurry up and have a town hall meeting. If you know, I did go to that town hall meeting, and I streamed from that town hall meeting everything that was said during that meeting. That was held on November 7th, so a week later. Now, at that meeting, the governor wasn't there, but someone from her office to represent her, Joe Porfiry, was there, and Joe Porfiry said that they had looked at the infrastructure. They had all of this stuff in place. What they, I think, didn't know at the time, what Sarah Huckabee Sanders didn't know at the time, whenever she was on KDYN, was that the host, I believe his name is Mark Dietz. Mark Dietz actually has said he is on the board for the water department that would provide that area with water, and they had no knowledge. They had not been spoken to about a new prison, or if there was going to be an ability to run water to that area. And from being outside at that town hall meeting, before the town hall meeting started, I learned that a majority of people that actually live in that immediate area, it's called the Vesta area, have well water. They don't even have city water. And the reason that those people were discussing that they had well water is because that land, the land that was purchased, the 800 something acres that was purchased there in Vesta, that the state of Arkansas plans to build a prison on, it's rock. It's solid rock. In order for them, like I have said before, I would believe that any prison would have like a basement of some sort, like, some sort of structure underground. In order to do that, in order to have the sewer treatment plant that they say that they provide for themselves, they would have to blast into that ground a lot. And blasting into that ground with dynamite would disturb the existing wells of the existing residents in that area. And that's something that an issue that the residents in that area have a major fear of, a major problem with. Then what's going to happen? Now, it was learned at that meeting, honestly, the meeting, I was shocked by the number of people that filled up the Charleston basketball arena. It was pretty full. I mean, I would say standing room only, probably. And everybody seemed to be against a prison being in Franklin County that was there that night. Even being surrounded by all of those people that were against a prison in Franklin County, and hearing all of the reasons why, the prison board, Mr. Benny Magnus, said that they would be voting for the prison in Arkansas, or prison in Franklin County, the following day at 9 a.m. Now, again, nobody in Franklin County knew anything about this prison deal until the week prior. And then not only did they find out that land has been purchased, it's been secured, they're planning on building this prison, but that they're voting. So they don't even have an option to really raise their concerns to actual important state officials, because they're going to be voting on the prison the next day. And repeatedly, Mr. Magnus was asked, would you be willing to put off the vote? No, he was not willing to put off that vote, not for one single day. Why? Why aren't you willing to put off that vote for one single day to allow people to say what they want to say? It doesn't mean that you can't vote the way that you were going to vote to begin with, but like, why can't people have their voice heard? What is the issue with that? Now, the prosecuting attorney for Franklin County, Mr. Jeff Phillips, was at that town hall meeting, and he was asked if he could do an injunction to stop the prison from voting. This is a press release that Jeff Phillips released. He said, "I want to start by saying my office is not in favor of a penitentiary being built in the Charleston community. Very little has been said about the impact this will have on our court system. I anticipate I will be requesting an additional deputy prosecutor to handle the criminal cases that come out of the facility. These types of crimes are generally murders, batteries, and introducing illegal contraband into the facility, among other things. The relatively light docket now in the Charleston district of Franklin County will explode." As with the other elected officials, I was not notified of the decision to locate the penitentiary in Franklin County until I read about it on social media. Last night, I attended the meeting in Charleston to attempt to learn why this was kept secret and what to expect going forward. For the first time, I was provided with a statute along with the rest of the crowd titled Location or Construction of Residential Facilities for Sexual and Violent Offenders Public Hearings. This is ACA 1225-101. Within the body of the statute, there is a 30-day requirement for the state to conduct a public hearing in the municipality or county of the proposed location of the facility prior to the contracting for the acquisition of any property on which to locate the proposed facility and before there is a vote to approve by the prison board. It was suggested that this vote occurring at 9 a.m. this morning would be illegal based on that statute. After I got home, I researched this issue. With the limited opportunity I have had to research the statute and the limited information available connected to the statute, it appears that 1225-101 relates to community-based residential facility housing. This apparently would consist of traditional housing of potentially violent offenders coming back into the community. The statute does not appear to encompass a penitentiary. In determining whether to issue a preliminary injunction or temporary restraining order, a circuit judge must consider two things. One, whether irreparable harm will result from the absence of an injunction or restraining order, and two, whether the moving party has demonstrated a likelihood of success on the merit. Concerning requirement number one, irreparable harm, my position is that if this is an illegal vote, it will be illegal going forward and could be undone by any future court proceedings, meaning no irreparable harm would come from the simple act of voting today. As to the second requirement that we would have to meet, i.e. likelihood of success on the merits, this is in doubt in light of statute 1225-101, only pertaining to community-based residential facilities. The suggestion of a temporary injunction at last night's meeting was done so without any research or based upon any legal authority, but it left those in attendance with a false hope of a solution to this unwelcome problem. I wish there was sufficient legal authority for a temporary restraining order. My office, with assistance from the prosecutor coordinator's office, will continue to research these evolving issues. So one of the questions that I have asked several people in that community there in Franklin County, and a question that I have had since the very beginning, especially considering the actions at the town hall meeting, the community meeting, why is the governor, why are these people so hell-bent on building a prison in this community where people definitely do not want the prison, where it's going to cost more money because, like I said, it's solid rock, where the land is smaller, but they're planning a more massive facility? Why? Why this particular land? Why are they fighting so hard for this land? Why are they bulldozing an entire community for this land when there are other places in the state of Arkansas that have actually tried to get a prison in their community, like in Johnson County. And I have asked myself, looking at maps, things that I've looked up, I can see there is a great deal of natural gas that is in that area. Could that be why? Were there mineral rights with the sale of that land that conveyed to the state of Arkansas as the new owner? Would that have anything to do with it? Or would that even make a difference? And honestly, I don't know. I mean, that could be viewed as an even ridiculous suggestion. I truly do not know, but it's something that I have wondered about, because don't you have to wonder, like, why fight so hard for something that doesn't even make sense? At the community meeting, the governor's spokesperson, Mr. Proferi, said that they kept all of this secret because they did not want a situation where there was a bidding war on this particular property. Like every day, people are just going around trying to buy 800 plus acres of rock. Here's the thing, and I don't know how accurate any of this stuff is, but before the land was purchased in 2021, it was called the Breeden Ranch, and it, as far as I know, as far as I've been told, was an operational farm. Now, whenever that land was sold to Aaron and Haley Gasinger in 2021, that sale estimated for $2,225,000, and that was with a lot of farm equipment on the land, allegedly. So Aaron and Haley sold off a lot of farm equipment from that land. They cleared a lot of stuff off of the land. And then 3 years later, in 2024, they sold it to the state of Arkansas for $725,000 more than what they paid for it. My question is, does that sound like a good deal to you? Because, and maybe I'm wrong, but wasn't land at a high in 2021 around that time, just during COVID? Wasn't land like pretty expensive at that time? And haven't prices cooled just a little bit, or at least stayed the same? Not that I would expect to pay $725,000 more dollars for land that actually has less, because the farm equipment's been sold off of it. Again, maybe I'm wrong. It doesn't exactly scream a great deal to me, in my opinion. Now, a coalition has been formed to attempt to fight the state of Arkansas putting a prison in Franklin County. That coalition is called the Franklin County and River Valley Coalition. An attorney has been secured, and they are seeking donations to support this fight that will cost a lot of money. In all honesty, who knows how much money, because it's the state of Arkansas. So in order to raise this money, they do have a GFM. They are taking donations at Simmons Bank. You can donate at any Simmons Bank. And here is the information on that. You can also purchase t-shirts online. They have bumper stickers. They have all kinds of things you can see by going to this website and supporting them.